All right, so it's been a while since we did our last episode. It's literally funny that every single one of our locations have changed. I'm in London now. Daniel's been like all over the show. Wojtek was in Barcelona, Shanghai, Hong Kong. Like literally everyone's locations have changed. Everyone's background's different. But yeah, I'm excited for this episode. This will be a big one. I think there's two major announcements to cover here. The first one is, we've completed the first phase. We've literally finished all the design work. We finished all the scoping. We now actually know exactly what the product's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. And I just want to thank Wojtek for incredible design skills. I've really enjoyed, working with him. And sometimes we've had some disagreements about certain things which should be there or shouldn't be there and whatever, but it's been fun and we've worked with it. And thanks for Daniel for putting together a great team. So when I do the editing for this, I will throw in some looms from behind the scenes, as well as Wojtek and I literally spent 2 hours in Figma together just knocking it out. So we'll add that at the end if anyone is interested. They can literally see us going through the product screen by screen. But in this, I just wanted to really let Wojtek do a victory lap and just go through the product, Figma screen by screen, and just sort of give his view on why he made certain decisions, maybe share some insights on the design stuff along the way. And then after that, Daniel and I have a bit of an announcement which will sort of affect the product and sort of what happens next in the series. But yeah, also just, before we do that, just wanted to say thank you to the team, Daniel, Wojtek, incredible work. Had loads of fun doing it. And yeah, Wojtek, I think over to you. You're the star of the show on this call and excited to see it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for all the kind words. And it was also very, very nice to work together on this project. So let me just immediately share my screen. Wait, let me know when you can see everything.
Yeah,
yes,
we can see it.
All right, perfect. So as Courtne already explained, the entire Figma file, as you can see, is here. This is the entire product. So I'm just going to walk you through the start till the end. And if I see some things that I want to highlight along the way that I think are really important or are worth highlighting, I'll just spend some more time on them. But yeah, let's just get started. So first of all, I've worked with the navbar. I've started designing the navbar because it's like the main hub of the entire platform. So with the navbar, you will be able to switch in between all of the different pages, all of the different screens, and do all of the actions within the navbar. So this is a component. So on every screen in this will stay the same. So if I want to make changes, it's just like the most efficient way of designing to just have some things in the components. That's like a small little tip for everyone that's interested about design. So here we have a login page and a sign up page. It's just easy, straightforward. We just want to keep those things as simple and as short as possible. We don't want to distract the user with a lot of things. So it's just very simple and straightforward. So the user fills in their full name and their email. After this, they receive an email with a magic link. So when they hit on the button in the email, they will actually verify their email and they will be brought to the onboarding.
Before you continue, Wojtek, I just wanted to add a comment to that. That was actually super important because I learned that. When I was going through design with you, I didn't even think about Magic Link. I thought about, passwords and all of this. And by doing Magic Link, we just eliminated an enormous amount of design work because you don't have to have like all the password reset, all that stuff, as well as all the dev work because you don't have to store passwords, hash it, etc., etc. So we literally take an entire sign-up flow and just condense it down into 2 screens, as you're seeing here. So that was a very, useful insight that I got on the project, and I'd recommend it to anyone building software just to do that. It's just easier. Cool. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we've actually been using this across like everything we've been building. We've been noticing that you just want to go straight with OAuth, try and just eliminate anything when it comes to like external login password, just magic link, easy. It's the new way to go. It's much better.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very nice to highlight as well. It's our way of approaching all of the products. So when you verify the email, you will be brought to a super short and concise onboarding. So here you will create a workspace. Think of something similar like Slack, where you just create, when you enter a workspace name, upload the logo and select the color. And you also have the option to choose your own color with whichever you like. Then when you've created the workspace, you connect with your Stripe account, which will be an external Stripe page where you will log in, but this is how it will look like inside of the product. When you've connected your Stripe account, you'll be brought to this page where you can connect your Slack, but this will be an optional step, so you will be able to skip this for now and add it later on inside of your settings panel. And once you have completed this, you have like a confirmation page showing that you have connected everything. So this is like the onboarding, sign up / onboarding. So after completing all of this, you will be presented with your dashboard. I think I'm going to highlight this one at the end in order to just like stay in one line with the product. So this is a dashboard where you will see everything what's happening. So here you have the most important metrics and all of your customers and the links that you have created below. Another thing that's very important to highlight is we've added this bar, which was a very nice idea marketing wise from Courtne. It's just like something that will be recognizable throughout the entire product. When people will see the bar, it will be something very recognizable. So I really like the addition of this. Maybe Courtne, you want to highlight something about this?
Yeah, so while we're on that, I'll sort of talk about, there's a design thing and there's a utility that comes with it. So design, like I want any project or product from Seeking Sigma, which is the holding company I have for this, to be immediately recognizable, which will be this bar, which is across the entire product. This one is orange because Simple Payments is orange. The other one that we're working on is blue because that product is blue. So it's just immediately you can tell that you're in the app because of that. But also it's functional. So one of the key benefits that we have with this company is we want all of our products to be cross-sellable. If you need payments, you probably also need signatures and you probably also need some of the other things that we sell. So the utilities, when you click that bar, what it is going to do is it's going to drop down and have a product switcher, which will enable users to discover our other products while being in this product and also easily switch. And then the long-term view is to have a like bundle where you pay one fee and you get access to our suite of products. And you'll be able to easily switch just by hitting that orange bar at the top. So imagine a small drop down with the different icons for the products, and then you'll know which product that you're in because the color code obviously is consistent with that branding. So design-wise, look and feel, establishing the language. It's almost like Apple, like all the iPhones have the same notch because they want the products to be recognizable. But then utility, from a marketing standpoint, you can get so many users because every product basically sells the other products themselves. So yeah, that was the thinking behind that.
Yeah,
you can go ahead.
Yeah, great. Exactly. So then moving on, that we have the dashboard over here. Then this would be the page where you will be able to see all of your customers, and this will be imported through Stripe. So all of the clients that you already have in your Stripe account that you have connected during the onboarding will be shown here. And for example, if you add a new customer inside of your Stripe, you can just simply refresh this page and it will sync again to the latest what is showing in your Stripe account. Then below here, you'll have an overview of all of your subscriptions. So a subscription is one of the 3 payment types that we have inside of this platform, but we'll get to that in a second. So here is just basically an overview of the subscriptions. Here we have an automation step, so you'll be able to see all of the logic that you have actually created throughout the entire product, and you'll be able to manage this by seeing more. So then you'll be able to actually view how the entire payment structure looks like, see which part of the payment logic is completed, on which payment section you are currently, and which one is failed, for example. So it's just like a very nice and easy way to show this to the user. Then we have the 404 page, which is something that I forget a lot of the times. Then moving on to the settings page, it's also, we decided to just keep this as simple as possible. We don't like all of the details that you would like to change, you will be able to change in here. So it's just like the most important details you can just switch around in here. And it's separated within 2 tabs. So instead of just having like a big page, a long page, we've created 2 tabs. So it fits on one screen. So we have Workspace and Billing. and billing will be an external Stripe page where you will be able to manage your subscription. And then moving on to another tab, which is the team page, where you will be able to view all of the team members inside of your account and invite new ones by filling in their name and their email. Yeah, so that's for this page. Then moving on to the connections page, you will be able to connect multiple platforms, Stripe, Slack, Zapier, and a webhook. So each of those is separately designed in here. For Slack, you have some more options. You can like change which channel you want to receive the updates in, select which notifications you would like to receive. Zapier is just super straightforward as well. And the webhooks, it's also just like a standard webhook system, but it's just designed in a very straightforward way for the user to understand how to connect all of those connections. So then moving on to let me see. So here we'll have the payment page. So first, when a user arrives inside of the product, he will be able to do like the first payment. But when he hits the limit, we will basically show them this page where he will be able to upgrade to the Pro plan, which is basically a very simple page highlighting the benefits and a call to action for them to subscribe.
I haven't done the copy on that page yet, just because I'm finalizing the marketing page, and then I want the marketing like landing page and the upgrade page to be the same. So that will be the design. But yeah, if you're reading the copy and you're like, "What's going on?" that's why it hasn't been updated yet.
All right. So then moving on to the main part of the product, which is actually creating a payment. So you'll be able to create 3 payments. So we just chose to take pop-up approach into creating the payment because it's the main functionality, and we just want the user to have the ability to, whether they're in their settings page or at a different page, to just be able to create a payment at any time. So we have the plus sign over here next to the logo, which is visible at all times. So you are able to create a new payment at any time, and then this pop-up will come up with the logo, and you'll be able to select what kind of payments you want to create. So you have the single payment, recurring subscription, and a custom automation. So when you select one of those, you'll be able to search through the list of your imported customers on Stripe. You'll be able to select one over here, or you'll be able to add a new customer yourself. So you just enter their details and continue to the next step. And then here we have outlined the 3 payments. So the single payment, the recurring subscription, and the custom automation, they're outlined here. They are similar to each other design wise, but they're just I'm not going to go in depth on every single page here, but because the design is very similar to each page, but I would just quickly go over it. So with a single payment, you can add an item, which will bring up this pop-up where you'll be able to enter the details. Once you're confirmed this, we'll just show it in a nice way. So when you've created the payment, you will be able to nicely see what the product name is, how much, what you're going to charge for it, and a description, which is a very important part, actually adding the description in here, because most of the payment platforms don't have this option. So it's like a huge USP for our product. And another thing that's nice to mention, as you can see, the entire product has our brand color, which is orange. But then the checkout page for the client itself will be in the color that you have selected during the onboarding. So it's just in your brand color, let's say. So once you've created the payment, you'll get a shareable link. And this is the page that the person that you're sending the payment link to will actually receive. So it will be in your branded colors. Yeah, we've just designed this page in a way where it's easy to see what you're actually going to pay for, and explain them the amounts that you're going to pay for, and just make it easy to input all of your details and just pay. So
Wojtek, I was just thinking that gives a good like outline of the product. And then if someone wants to see literally like page by page for the rest of the stuff, they'll be able to just look at our design session together, which will be added in after this, because then we literally talk through it. Because I'm just conscious of time, because I know we have a hard stop. So the only things that I just want to add on to this is if you just go to the stats page, just because I think that that's slightly useful to touch on. So this is an idea that I had, is essentially what we're doing is we are calculating global metrics across the product. So how many total invoices have all customers sent? How many total revenue have all customers collected? And this is going to be the splash page. So part of the product that was quite unique is all of our users are essentially marketing users for us as well, because if someone sends a payment to someone, it has that powered by badge in the bottom right. And when you click on that, it will actually prompt this page. So this is nice for marketing because, first of all, like it gives credibility to the product because you can see people are actually using it. It's also quite nice for us to sort of rally a team around it because you can see like, oh, the product is growing over time. And then on the right-hand side, I also haven't done the copy there yet because I'm working on the marketing, but that is sort of going to be like the USPs and almost a CTA to sign up. And so this is a page that is accessible across the product. And this will be the main like marketing page where you can see, okay, this is what the product's doing. And then on the right-hand side, you'll be able to sign up for an account directly in here, which is quite a useful thing. And I think, Wojtek, you also brought up, more products should show their stats. I think it would be quite cool. Okay, cool. So I think, Wojtek, you can stop the screen sharing if you want. At this point, I obviously want to talk to Daniel, but Wojtek, super quickly, just on time, do you have any like unique lessons or insights that you just want to share design-wise when you're working on the product? Like how was it for you?
Yes. Yeah. So I've actually learned a lot of things design-wise from the marketing perspective, from your side, from the feedback that you have provided me with. One of the example things is, for example, the public page that you've just highlighted, or like the orange bar at the top. Those were just some small things, but it just working on this project made me realize that I should think more about the actual marketing side as well, instead of just how the product itself works, but just think of ways how we can how the design can affect the marketing. So that's something that I've learned as well from building out this tool.
I'm literally so glad you've said that, because that's literally what my company deals with, because we help SaaS founders grow, and 9 out of 10 times they build an incredible product and it's very tech fancy and it does all these things, but it doesn't actually grow. And that's because I genuinely believe marketing is more about product design than it is about running ads, or like all these things, running ads, sales teams, cold email, like that's all stuff. The main source of growth is always going to be the product itself when it comes to SaaS. And you have to intentionally have someone on your team who understands growth and is thinking about it when designing the product, and then is able to work with a talented designer to sort of bring that vision to reality. So I'm super glad you said that. And there'll be more in the series when we talk about that. Cool. So at this point, Daniel, I want to sort of give the chair to you. Blank is going through, and Blank Studios is Daniel's company. Anyone watching, it's his venture, and we've partnered up with him. And the company's going through a bit of a pivot. And yeah, we're about to change our relationship, which I could talk about. But Daniel, I want to just give you the chair to just say what's going on with Blank.
Yeah. I want to first of all thank everyone involved, from the extent to those watching, to you, Courtne, to you, Wojtek. I think putting you on the spot with a building in public series has really shown me how much you've grown. I know we've come a long way, and I want you to know that I'm incredibly proud of the product that you've put together. So that's just one thing that I wanted to start this with. But yeah, as you said, Courtne, we have been going through quite a big pivot. Blank Studios essentially partnered up with, as I always said, the bright minds within my network to help them make the next software play. And that's also how we got to the partnership between Courtne and I, because he knew that I built things and I know that Courtne market things. So quite recently, I've been going through a transition with the company to start build things internally instead of more externally. So instead of partnership based, just start to build everything internally, simply because one of the businesses that I've been working on is really taking off. This is a supply chain business here in China, and there's an incredible amount of software needs within that business. And we see we have so much supply already. We already have a lot of clients that need active solutions within this space. So we're kind of shifting to essentially turning Blank Studios into an incubation based on our own infrastructure, all the companies that we have, all the companies that we own shares in, within the direct-to-consumer space. So we're making this shift, which results in no more client work and just building things internally. So that has been happening over the last few months. And in respect of the relationship between Courtne and I broke the news as soon as I could, that we just saw this happening. So we had a chat. And of course, as those that know and those that don't know, Courtne and I started this together, which started with an initial capital injection to actually put a number to the company and divide the shares between him and I. I will remain a shareholder in this project simply because I believe in what we have built, what we've put together. I would have never started this partnership in the first place if I didn't believe in it. So I will stay involved from a consulting perspective and of course as a shareholder, but my focus will be on the internal projects within Blank Studio. So that's kind of, I think, the update from my end. Courtne, I don't know if I've missed anything or anything that you think is worth mentioning.
No, I think just the concise version of that for like what people can expect moving forward. Originally, Daniel and I started. Daniel had designers and dev as part of his company. He's redirecting those resources to internal projects. I was very clear in the beginning that part of the reason I'm working with Daniel is, yes, because he has great designers and dev and he has a lot of experience, but we've become really good friends over the time. But also Daniel's like a wealth of just connections and just someone to like sort of go to for advice. So I was really happy when he was like, we're not going to do the dev anymore, but we will finish the design. And I think that's testament to also Daniel's character and Blank, that's finishing the design part. But I still want to be involved from an investor standpoint. So essentially, we spoke about it, and the way we're going to set that up, just for people if they're going through something similar, is that we're just going to do a call once a month. And on the call, I'm sort of going to update Daniel on the numbers, sort of how things are going, what the vision of the project is, etc. And obviously, he has a financial interest in it. It's also important for him to see that side of things. And then just, I have the ability to call on Daniel for, questions, help, insight, as does he with me. As he goes down his ventures whenever possible. And we'll do a dinner in London, I believe, sometime soon, which will be cool. So what people can expect is this is sort of Blank handing over the design. That's what they're finished. So on the next episode, unfortunately, Daniel and Wojtek are going to be leaving us, but I will be introducing a hire that I've made who'll be taking over the dev side, and he's been, smashing it. And again, I also want to thank Daniel for providing the connections to facilitate that hire. I think that was, he didn't have to do that, but he did, and I appreciate that. So this is the last call with the boys, but we'll have someone new in the next call, and still super excited to bring the project to life. So that's everything on my side. It's been super fun working with you guys. I think we have an incredible project, incredible vision, and claps all around.
Awesome.
Is there anything else from you guys that you want to add?
No, man. I had a blast for as long as it lasted, and I'm excited to see where you take the project, man.
Incredible. All right. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just jump into the Loom because I, identified quite a hole in the product when I was looking at the design. I think it'd be useful for everyone to see me going through that. So I'm going to include the Loom, and then I'm also going to include the entire design session with me and Wojtek. So it's going to be long. You don't have to watch it if you guys are bored. But I think it'll be useful to literally just watch us building it together. We shortened the summary of the design, but you can literally see screen by screen, component by component. And also, if you are interested in design, it was useful for me to see how Wojtek uses components from certain libraries and sort of piece that all together. So with that being said, thanks everyone for watching. Thank you guys. And we'll jump into that. Right. Hey, Wojtek. Hope you are well. So I spent some time this morning just going through the payment flow that we have sort of in Figma. It's the first time that I've been able to actually spend some solid time just sitting down and just going literally through the entire app. Obviously with the move and stuff to London, it's been a bit chaotic, but now that everything's sorted, I'm finally back in work mode, and I can, focus and really get dialed in. Right. So I spent some time going through everything, as I said. I ended up picking up on a lot of small little things that I think we just missed. Overall, the design is more or less done. There's just small things that, are easy to skip that I picked up. And then I picked up on one really big problem that we missed, which I think is going to cause a lot of issues. So what I've done is I put together this little doc to go over my thoughts here. I'm going to literally just run through this doc in this loom. And then I think if we execute on this document, then we should be done with the designs. And also, I've been leaving comments like in Figma throughout the process, but it's been a little bit hard to sort of communicate properly. So I thought, this is just the best way to do it. All right. So starting off with just some changes across like the entire app. Let me just actually move this so we can see what's going on. Right. So just across the entire app, obviously with the introduction of adding intercom to the bottom right, we spoke about the need to have the plus button show up in the top right. And I know that it does show up in the dashboard, but it doesn't show up in the rest of the screens, like in the settings screen, the connection screen, et cetera, et cetera. So just to be clear with the designs, put the plus like everywhere throughout the app, because I want that to be able, I want the users to be able to create the payment from anywhere in the app, in the top right. Then the brand color. So we discussed this on the call. It's sort of the difference between having a white and then having this like off-white color. I know that you said you don't really like it, but I'd be very curious for you to explain as to why. Because when I look at it here, like in the confirmation page, I really like it. Like you have the orange, you have the color, and then you have like the pop-ups being white, with like the gray, and it sort of like goes off against each other. Like I think that this is a beautiful design palette, if you will. So I am still in favor of rolling that out across the app, provided that all the colors and stuff are just matched. Okay. Right. So that was app-wide changes. And then we just had some changes, like some single changes that I picked up on. So first of all, in the onboarding flow, we ask them for their name and their email. But what we don't ask for currently is the workspace name or the business name, as well as the color, as well as their icon. Right now, obviously in the settings, we give them the ability to change that. But in the onboarding flow, we obviously need to also ask them for that. Okay. And what I also thought would be quite nice, because we're going to have, multiple steps now, is adding this 1, 2, 3. And I think we actually did discuss this on our original calls. I think it might even be one of the ones that we put on YouTube, but having this like 1, 2, 3, 4, like just having this diagram so the user can very clearly see like where they are in the process, I just think is really nice. So now that we're going to have multi-step, the first step being name and email, the second step being customization, and then the third step, obviously, being the connections and stuff. So I'm actually going to walk you through that here now. So, I think if we add the step design, the next thing is obviously after the name and the email. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this a bit clearer. So I'm going to say name and email, which we have over here. Okay. Then it's going to be workspace name. It will be the color, the accent color, and the logo. Okay. After that, it will be the connections. So it's going to be Stripe, and it's going to be Slack. And then the final thing, where it says access dashboard. Instead of saying access dashboard, so instead of access dashboard, I wanted to instead say check your email for confirmation. Okay, because basically what happens is after that, their account is created. It's pretty much ready to go. But I don't want to give them the ability to just automatically jump into the dashboard and start doing things, because we are using Magic Link. So we haven't asked them for a password. So the Magic Link, they need to confirm the email. So instead of access dashboard, it must just say, please check your email to log in, right? And then obviously the email stuff will go out. So that will be the onboarding flow. It's small changes, but changes that need to happen. And then obviously the 1 to 2 steps there. Okay. The next thing that I picked up on is in the table here, right? We have the name, we have the customer, we have the invoice date, and then we have status, and then we have email. So a couple of things here. First, like the name, I think we can change to like invoice title or something. I just don't think that it makes sense to have that, right? Status, and then we have email. One thing I just wanted to add to this, and I sort of picked up on this throughout the app. One of the USPs of the product is obviously that you can have your entire sales team in here. So different users can create different payments, right? And then you as the sales manager or the company founder or whatever, you can go in and you can see which sales reps are sending payments and performing, right? So we have that data, but we're not displaying it anywhere, which doesn't make sense. So I think what we can do is, I think what I'm going to do here as I go through this is I'm just going to give you the entire tab layout, just because I think it will be easier to understand. So the tab layout is going to be, I think we can remove this name, to be honest, because you'll see why I'm talking about this just now. But instead of calling this invoices, I think we're calling it payments, which you already are. But there's a reason why we need to look at this a little bit different, right? So I think we can have customer as the first part. Then we can have payment date, right? Which will be here. And then we can have status, and then email. And then we can have the team member, right? And then we can have actions. So if we make this the layout, then you would obviously remove this and you would have customer, right? You would have the payment date. So instead of invoice date, payment date, you'd have the status, which is the same, the email, which is the same, the actions is the same. But now that we have removed that name, we created a bit more space, so we can basically just add team member. And then what I want to do in the team member is basically just show the profile of the person as well as just their first name, right? So I'll actually change this to first name. Okay, so that will be super simple because we have that from the team member settings. That way, as a sales manager, whatever, you can look here and you can see, okay, well, who's sending payments, who's getting paid, who's not, etc. I just think it's a nice touch to add. Right, then we look at the actions. Now we have the copy link, which makes sense. We have the download invoice, which will obviously pull from Stripe, which makes sense. This delete thing, number one, I don't think it makes sense because we don't have the ability to see like draft. We don't have the ability to create draft payments or expire or whatever. So I just don't think the trash can makes sense. But one issue I did pick up is currently we don't have the ability to refund payments. And I do think that is quite important. And so instead of creating an entirely new page and new whatever, I just thought very quickly, if we just change the delete icon to a refund icon, and then when the person presses it, a pop-up will just come up saying, please confirm that you want to refund this amount. That's really quick and easy for us to do from a design standpoint, but it adds a functionality to the app, and it also removes something which no longer makes sense, which is like this ability to delete stuff, right? So that I think is important. Right, then going on to some of the holes that I picked up in the app. So the first hole that I picked up is the ability to automatically, if I want to create a payment, sometimes I want to automatically charge the client something. So for example, with all my clients, the first payment, obviously they pay by card, I save their card, but for the second, third payments, I just automatically charge them. This obviously is great for me because I can automatically charge them, which lowers churn, lowers friction in the sales process, etc., etc. So we don't have the ability currently to automatically charge a customer. It always imports new stuff. That's the first problem. The second problem is we don't have the UI to pull customers from Stripe. And obviously the beauty of us being built on top of Stripe is even if they were using something else before using simple payments, we can still charge cards. We don't have to get customers to re-enter card details. So that requires having some UI stuff. So I already spoke to you about this, but basically on the left-hand side here, underneath payments, adding in a new tab, which basically just says customers. And then it will be a very simple page to cut down design time. I think we can literally just copy design stuff and just change text. So it's a lot easier. So I think we can literally, keep this exactly the same. We'll say, hello, Courtne. All of the graphs and stuff will be removed and it will simply have a table, right? And then in the table, what I would like to do is display the table like this. So I think, you'll have the table on the left-hand side, but then on the right-hand side, you're going to have a card. Google Drive does this quite nicely where it shows like a table list. And then on the right, it shows like this card. You can obviously play with the design. This is just, inspiration that I found. In the table, these are the columns that I think we need to display. The name, the email, total spend, like, how much has that customer spent? What card do we have saved for them? Obviously, this will just be the card icon. So MasterCard, Amex, Visa, and then the last 4 digits, because that's the only thing that Stripe gives us. The created by, so again, that would be, the profile and the name. Again, so that as a sales manager or founder, you can see like which reps are creating stuff. I don't think we need to add the ability to edit customers or delete customers for the MVP. I think long-term maybe, but for the MVP, no. But then on the card, basically all I want to do is I just want to show like a Stripe logo symbol, basically have some text and a button. And that is basically going to be along the lines of import from Stripe. So I basically just want to say that you can import customers directly from Stripe. And I want to display the last date that we imported customers, and then a button that says import. So basically when someone comes here, they'll be able to see all their customers. On the right hand side, there'll be this card that says the last time you imported customers was this date, and then a button. You can just press import, and then it will just show a pop-up saying importing customers, and then we'll pre-populate this table. For whatever reason, if someone creates an account with us today and they import customers, and then they add more customers to Stripe in the future, and then they want to import them, or they log out, whatever, they can do that, right? Just the ability to like refresh the list of customers from Stripe. Okay, and then obviously as we create customers in Stripe, this will automatically be populated, right, over time. And I believe that we have to do this anyways, because this is going to allow us to obviously charge them with the subscriptions. Okay, right. Then the other thing that I also thought of is currently we do not have the ability to cancel subscriptions. Okay, so there's actually going to be 3 pages that we have to add: the customers, which we've gone over here, the subscriptions, which we need to go over. So again, I think the subscription can be literally an exact copy of this design. Hello, Courtne, no graphs, another table, and all the table needs to just say is the name, the email, the subscription, which would basically be like the item name that they gave us, the amount, when are they next going to be charged, the billing card, created by, and then just one button next to it, which basically says cancel. Okay, because currently we do not have the ability for users to cancel a subscription. I initially thought it was this trash can, but that's a bit confusing because then this table is mixed up between payments, between subscriptions, between logic stuff, and then like what does the trash can mean for a normal payment, for a subscription? Like it's just a bit confusing. And if I set up a subscription and I need to cancel it, currently I can't do that in the app, and that's a bit of a problem. So it's a very small like design thing because it's literally just copy and pasting and just changing text, but it adds a lot of functionality. So having a subscriptions page is useful. Okay, then the logic stuff, right? So I went through all the logic. I did see that you made a bunch of changes. Really happy with that. Thank you. Right, one of the biggest changes is this page with the payment details. So basically, when making a payment, currently we always ask them for the customer's name and email. I think it's more important that we instead ask them, I think we should replace this with the search field. And basically there they would be able to search their customers either by name or email, and then add a button underneath it, which basically says add a new customer. If they press add a new customer, then this will come up, right, as a pop-up. Okay, so basically the first step being, I think we should try and force them to search. And if they don't want to search or they can't find anyone, then they can add a new customer, and then obviously we'll ask for this information. I also think it's very important that we add a checkbox underneath this, or not a checkbox, but a toggle, I think is actually better because then it's more obvious. Do we want to charge them automatically? So if we are searching or selecting a customer, okay, we have the ability to automatically charge them because obviously we have their card saved. Some customers might want to automatically charge them. Some customers might not want to, right? And I think that we need to just give them the ability to turn that on and off. So super simple, but again, very, very important. The other thing is we obviously ask them in the settings and now in the onboarding for the accent color. And that obviously is for branding and stuff, but we're not actually using it in the product at the moment. I think that, again, these are just like small oversights that I think, we've got so much going on we just missed, but I'm picking them up now. So it's very simple, but basically just in this preview, I think 2 things need to happen. Number 1, on top of the Hello Alex, we just need to add a little thingy here which shows their Workspace icon, so the design. And then we obviously can just change the color of the button and these icons to basically be their accent color. That way, if their color is blue, we're previewing the invoice to be in blue, right? And obviously we'll send it to their customer in blue, okay? Because that's obviously the whole point of the accent color, which currently we're not doing. Okay, then move the payment field to the left so that we make space for long invoices. So I looked at your checkout page, which I saw that you redesigned based on our conversation. Thank you for that. But I just had a design improvement that I wanted to suggest. I think what we should do is we should take this part over here where it says due today and it asks for their information and the checkout. I think that we should move it to a bubble underneath here. And then on the right hand side, we just show all the items with their descriptions. Now, the reason why I say that is here it's fine because you don't actually have like any descriptions, but if the user types a very long description or has multiple items, so they have 12 items on the invoice or very long descriptions, which is very possible, this section is going to be very, very long. And so then on the right-hand side, we're going to have such a long section. And then on the left-hand side, we don't have a section. And then also the person has to scroll up and down to look for the payment page. Whereas I think a much cleaner design is to have the payment on the left. And then when the user scrolls, the only thing that scrolls is the memos, right? So basically just the right section is scrolling, the left section doesn't. That way the ability to pay is always visible on the screen. Does that make sense? So small thing, but I think it will make a big difference at scale, right? Yeah. Okay, so that was that. Right, then what I did is I just went through all of the logics and I just mapped them all out. And there's some minor tweaks that I've had as we go. Just want to make sure that because we've sent a couple looms back and forth about this. I know it's quite complicated, but I think the easiest thing is to just put it on paper. So let's just run through it. Right, so for the single payment, right, so they have the ability to search for a customer or add a new one. And then obviously they would do the check marks for the auto charge, right? And then they would be able to add items exactly as you have here, and they'll be able to add unlimited items. Then that's what you have here. Then the only change, or the main change that I just had, is just on this page. Instead of saying next step, I think we need to say finalize payment. And then we need to add a note underneath it, which basically says a payment link will be generated and sent for the payment, or a note that will say we'll automatically charge the card ending in blah, 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 and send a customer confirmation email. And obviously this will change depending on if they have selected the state of automatically charge or not automatically charge. Another thing that I also wanted to do is just from a design language standpoint, the next step can have an arrow, but I think the finalized payment needs to have a check mark, right? Or basically just a simple, basically just a design change to show that this is the final step. Because if you have a look here, where the way we have it now, this is the button that basically is going to send the amount, and we don't exactly make that clear. Like the person might say, oh, there's maybe one more step, and then they press it, and then we just send it, right? And then they're like, oh shit, I wasn't 100% certain. I think we just need to make it very clear that finalized payment, this is the final thing with a check mark. There is no more next steps. You press this button, it is going to send it, or it is going to charge it, right? I'm just making that super, super clear. Right, that was that. Then for the subscription payment, so if we go here, again, the ability to search for a customer, add a new one, the ability to only add one item, which you had over here, which is great. And then finalize payment. Okay, so here, this is all done perfectly, the interval period, etc. But here now we have confirm. So again, just from a design standpoint, having some consistency across the product, not confirm, and then the other one, it says next step. So I just think consistency that we say finalize payment with a check mark. So again, it's super simple and clear to the user. This is the final step. And then that note underneath it, again, we're automatically going to charge this card and send them an email, or a payment link will be generated and sent for payment. Okay, because we're going to do that and just putting that under the button. That way, the design language is consistent from the different states, right? So we know what's going on. And then obviously this, I think, is just an oversight, but basically just centering that in the middle of the button. The preview for this is fine. We don't need to move things around because there's only going to be one item. So, the description doesn't need to be that long. Or even if it is that long, it's not going to cause a scrolling issue as it would potentially on a single payment. This one, I think, again, moving the card number to the left-hand side, potentially making space for, a large description, as I previously mentioned, and then this is fine. Okay, then we have, and again, just like, the plus button being in the top right. I know it's a pain in the ass to update all these designs, but I do just want it, like, absolutely, when we give this to the developers, like, absolutely, this is the design, no confusion, everything being super clear. All right, the logic payment is obviously the most complex part, and it's the part where we have some stuff to go over, because I still, we've gone through this a few times, I still don't think that we have it. It's better, but it's not 100%. So, but this is 100%. I've thought through this properly. Right, so the ability to customer search, checkbox for auto charge. Then what we need is, so that's this part here. Then we need charge client for payment. Set initial payment. This has to be a single charge, and it's what starts the logic, okay? Example, if 3 days have passed, then let's say we have a logic that says wait 3 days. It's going to wait 3 days from when the first payment is charged, not from when the user sends the payment, right? If they're automatically charging, then obviously the 2 dates will be the same, so it doesn't matter. So the way you have it here with this note is good. Charge client for payment, this is good. They click on that, and then it will ask them for, where did you have it? We'll ask them for an item. This is very good. Yeah, the way you've done it here is perfect. I think it needs to just be clear that the first charge cannot be a subscription. It has to be a single charge, right? Because if it, I'll get to that in a little bit, but I'll tell you why. Okay, so we have that. Then they have the ability to add more logic, right? Which is what you have over here, right? Add a variable. First of all, I think we should just change this text to say add more logic, not add a variable, so it's simple. And then we have the variables. Now, I think that charge amount, which is over here, that's fine. It's going to add a new item. One thing that I want to just change here is the wording here, and the items that we have here don't make sense. For example, end payment or stop payment, that doesn't really make sense, right? Like we don't need that. What I think we should do is charge amount. This would create a single item. The next step needs to be start subscription. Okay. And obviously this would bring up the exact same thing as charge amount, except it would have the interval thingy in it. And on the logic side, it would create a subscription. But if they select this, they are no longer able to add more custom logic, right? So what I don't want to do is I don't want to give them the ability to charge an amount, start a subscription, wait 3 days, start another subscription, do this, do that. It's going to get too complicated too quickly. So it's basically charge a subscription is the final, if you create a subscription, there's no more custom logic you can add. Okay. Then delay for a certain period. So add a delay, wait for 3 days, etc. And then when date arrives, that's fine. And obviously this will bring up a date picker, which we had in the design somewhere before. I don't know where it has gone, but we did have it somewhere. And it would obviously blow out all of the days before today. So, you can't have a date that's already passed. And then the end payment would just disappear. So we're still going to have 4 things. It's just going to be broken up this way, which makes way more sense in my mind anyways. Right. And then obviously one thing I wanted you to just do as well, just from a design standpoint, is the way it's just labeled here is just doesn't make sense. I think to make this crystal clear for the developer is literally if they press charge amount, then show this screen. If they press add a delay, then show the screen. So just with the arrows, as we've had here, just showing them exactly, depending on what they select, how things will change or branch off. Right. And then a finalized payment, again, consistency, finalized payment, the same wording, the same design, the same thing underneath it. Okay, and then this is the getting into the big problems that I discovered as I was going through this. So the first thing is, when on the logic page, I want to add just a box or a bubble underneath this, basically saying, need help, watch a quick tutorial on how a logic builder works. And if they press this bubble, a loom is going to pop up of me explaining the logic, because there are some things that need to be explained. For example, you can't do anything without a first payment. If you create a subscription, it ends the ability to add logic. If you add a wait, the date that it starts waiting for will only be from when the payment is confirmed, the first payment, et cetera, et cetera. There are a few nuances. I don't want to, put that on the design, so I'll just make a video about it. But I do just think it's important to have that present, because if the person doesn't know what they're doing, they can mess this up very quickly, right? Right, then on the invoice side of things, for the preview, it's just very, very important that we have this payment terms clearly defined on actually what it's going to look like. And also on the payments thing, I think we only show the amount for today. So instead of saying, these are all of the items, we're literally just going to say, this is what you're getting charged for today. This is the amount due today. And you can now check out with us. Okay. So not having all of the items here, because otherwise you have, line items here, but then the due today, changes. Doesn't make sense, where you can instead add the payment terms. Okay. Right. Then this is the very important hole that I picked up. So one of the things that I was thinking about as I went through this is just that we have this issue where we need to properly define what is in the payments tab and what is in the subscriptions tab. And then every time a payment is processed, we need to generate an invoice. So if you think about a logic, let's say you are charging an amount, waiting 2 days, charging another amount, waiting 2 days, and then starting a subscription. That's 3 invoices essentially that, get issued. And we need to give the ability for the person to refund any of those payments because, obviously this is payments. But let's say they charge the first two amounts and then they decide, okay, I want to pause the logic. I don't want to start the subscription. We need to give them the ability to be able to cancel that. So subscriptions must be able to be canceled only when they're running. And customers must be able to see the logics that they have set up. Because if I create like logics for all these customers, I might forget, like, did I say 2 days? Did I say 5 days? Like, how do I know? Like, all of that. And then also stop it in the middle if necessary. So my solution for that, every time a subscription or logic payment goes through, it's added to the payments page where it can be refunded if necessary. Okay, so we've already sort of done that, but basically just coming back to it, this is now like the payments tab. This is a list of payments. It's not like invoices or automations or subscriptions or whatever. This is just like single payments. Okay, and then on the subscription page, subscriptions can be canceled. Okay, and if the logic creates a subscription, then it will be added to here. So this is what I was saying in the beginning, is separating that payments and subscriptions out very easily so that whenever there's a payment, whether it's a single charge, a subscription, a logic, it doesn't matter. It shows up in the payments tab if it's done, and then the ability to refund it. If it's a subscription, if it's an active subscription, it shows up in the subscription tab so that we can pause it or cancel it. Okay. And then we need to add a third page here, which I know you're going to hate me because there's more designs, but it's not really, because it's basically just the same page copied and pasted and just small variations, but a new page basically called logic. And this is, again, going to be a table, but on the table, this time it's basically just going to have a list of all the logics that the customer has with 3 statuses. And those 3 statuses would be completed, running, or aborted. So you can see how I'm using the same thing, so you can copy the table. On the table, we just need to have the name, so the customer's name, the customer's email, what card we have running with that logic, and who created it. Okay, that's literally it. Oh, and then obviously the status. Okay, so it's a simple table. And then obviously the status would be these 3 statuses. Then when they click on it, it will bring up a pop-up. And on the left-hand side, it's going to show the words in a builder. So again, to make this easy for you, just copying the designs, again, not rebuilding the entire thing, it would bring a pop-up, and the pop-up would look literally like the payments pop-up, right? The add payments pop-up would look exactly the same. The only variation to it now would be on the left-hand side, it would show all of the payment logics, but on the right-hand side, instead of a plus or a trash can icon, because obviously, they've already created this, it will show either a check mark, a checkbox, which means that this logic has completed, or it will show an hourglass, meaning it's still waiting. So for example, let's say I create a logic today to charge them this amount and then wait 3 days, right? And then I look at this the next day. The charge amount would be a green checkbox. This one would be an hourglass, meaning it hasn't run yet, so that we can see, okay, where are they in the logic, okay? And then on the right-hand side, instead of having a preview, I just want to add a button. I don't know how you're going to make this look from a design standpoint, but basically just a button that says, I bought this logic. And then if they press that, obviously it will kill the logic so that it no longer continues. And then it will obviously change the status to aborted, and it will close the pop-up. Does that make sense? I think, that literally then knocks out all of the things. I think the product then is a lot more wholesome, it's a lot more sense. Everything is, on the same page. I've checked all of this stuff, and everything here I was happy with. So yeah, I think when I was looking at your designs, I think there's a bit of confusion going on here. Whereas I think this really finalizes everything, and everything makes a lot more sense in my head. So let me know if you have questions.
And then we have Stripe. Slack. account, workspace, Stripe, Slack.
The Stripe and the Slack, do the icons not look a bit thick to you?
Let me see. This one is thinner. Yeah, this one is just like a filled one, because we don't necessarily have icons in the same style available of like a building and then the icon of each brand. But I'm sure when we like change them to the proper color, it would already look way better.
Okay, cool.
Slack. See, all right. I see we have the steps done. So we have account, but I suggest we won't show the steps in the account because they have not created an account yet, and it may like bounce them off if they see they have to do so many steps. So I just suggest to stick with the create an account here. Then once they have done it, we just need to rearrange this one to make like the workspace and the other things that we want to connect. And then we have workspace, Stripe, Slack, and then the confirmation.
So let's do the workspace. I suggest that we mirror it from what the settings look like the order of things.
Well, which one?
In the settings, you can set the logo and the color and the workspace. Yeah, I think we basically put things in the same order, similar design. Because that's basically what we're setting up here.
Exactly. Yeah, then it would be something like this when you click on it, but that's just straightforward for the developer.
Perfect.
And then the copy here.
I can sort out the copywriting. I'm going to go through the entire app and do copywriting. So I think.
All right. Yeah. So this would need an empty state, which will be this.
Cool.
Yep. Right.
Right. Then the next thing is the final step in the confirmation. Currently, we have a button that says Access Dashboard. I just want to replace that button with something along the lines of check your email for confirmation. So in other words, they don't get access to the dashboard. Once they've gone through that, it will send a confirmation email to them, and they have to sign in and confirm their email at the same time with the magic link.
The magic link step always happens after this step. So before they can actually start the onboarding. So we need to verify their account before they continue with the entire onboarding. So the step will come after this. So they fill in their name and their email, and then they get like a toast notification like this. Please check your email for a magic link, and when they click on that, then they will be brought to this onboarding, and they will need to complete this.
Okay, can we add a screen then in between the account and the email, which basically is a copy of that screen, but instead of a pop-up, it just has a blank bubble which says check your email for a magic link.
So instead of this, a separate page that's like that says this.
Correct, yeah. So basically in between the sign up for the account and the workspace, there'll be a page in between, which basically has the logo and then text underneath it, which says, so that's the login page. That's different, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let's see.
You duplicate the sign up page, yeah. And then instead of login, it will basically say check your email.
Yeah,
and then,
it would say this.
Yeah, that's correct. I'll just move the pop-up because I didn't get that part. I was confused.
Just add. So it will be something like this.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, cool. So that's the onboarding flow done. Then if we go to the dashboard and we zoom in, I want to just change the tab layout, right? So it's going to be, we can get rid of the column that says invoices like the INV004, blah, blah, blah. And the reason is because I wanted to basically be customer, which we've got. Instead of invoice date, we'll say payment date, and then status is fine. Email is fine. But what I just want to add in is team member. And in the team member, I basically want to show the profile picture and the name of the person who generated that. Because remember, can be multiple people inside a team now who can send payments.
Yeah. So inside of this, just add another, like who is assigned.
Yeah, add another column next to it, which basically says, and the heading of the column is going to be team member. And then it will basically show a small profile picture, which will be, those avatars that have the person's initials, like CM.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it will just say their name. Because if I'm in a workspace and I have multiple sales reps, for example, I want to see like who's sending stuff.
Let me see. I have an entire selection like this.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so that's their profile, and then next to them it will just say their name, their first name. So like Courtne, Wojtek, Daniel, whoever.
Yeah, but then we would only do their first name, or
Yeah,
we do.
we only need their first name. But what I think we can do is we can remove the first column that says
customer
name. So we can remove that and then put the customer there. So basically, there's more space for the customer.
And what if you send multiple invoices to a customer?
The thing with I mean, we could use the invoice name, but I just don't think it's useful because you would have the invoice.
No, I get it. I get it. The only thing that I wouldn't think about, what if you just have, like, for example, if I would invoice to Daniel and I would say send Daniel like 6 invoices, then how would I distinguish which invoice is which one?
But you wouldn't really know from the name either, because it's just a name. You would know by the customer, and then you look at the date probably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
So I like the way the spacing is done. It's basically just swap the customer for the name so that there's more spacing.
Oh.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the Daniel's Wi-Fi cut off for a second, so I didn't hear the last part. Okay, can you repeat the last part?
So before the customer or the invoice, the column was wider than all of the others. So if someone has a long name, it's just design-wise.
Yeah. So do you make the customer bigger?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, like this.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, so we have the customer, and then just change invoice date to payment date, because okay, then you have status, which you've got team member and email. That email, that is the customer's email, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Would it not make sense to then put the email in front of the payment date? So it's customer's name, customer's email, date, status, and then the team member.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one.
And then we can rename it customer email, just so that there's no confusion. Okay, so that's that. Then the only other thing that I wanted to do is, at the moment, there's no reason to be able to delete payments, but there is a reason to be able to refund payments. So if we just change the trash can icon to a refund icon, then the developer will make a pop-up where if they press that, a pop-up will say, confirm that you want this.
Okay.
And we don't need to make more design screens or whatever. So it's a small design thing, but it's
any preference for an icon that you maybe see here?
Maybe like a X in a circle.
Oh yeah.
Cancel.
Yeah, it would. I think maybe like something that like with like a thing that like shows that something is being returned. But let's see.
Or like a logout button. Like a logout button has like an open door and then an arrow.
Yeah, something like maybe like this. I think the best thing for the UI would be indeed like an X with a circle. Let me see. Something like this.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Cool. Then that is that done. Then the app track record dashboard we'll come to at the end. Then let's jump to the customers page. So you can essentially make a duplicate of this page. When I was doing this doc, I was like, well, how can I make the design as simple as possible? So if we just duplicate the page, and then we
So
call
this will be work. This will be the customers.
Correct. Yeah. So in the navigation bar on the left, it just needs a new one, which would be.
I'll do that immediately.
Yeah. I'm just going to help them while you're doing that. While you're busy doing that, you might as well add the other ones in the navigation, because we're going to have subscriptions next.
Which one?
Subscriptions.
Okay.
And then I think let's put customers on underneath payments. So it's payments, customers, subscription, and then
subscription or subscriptions.
Subscriptions, and then logic would go underneath. Yeah, and then it would be team and connections.
All right. Subscriptions.
Cool. All right.
Great.
Then the customers page. So yeah, you already did it, which is great. So we don't need any filters at the top, so we can trash the things. I think searching is still useful. So you can keep the search, but trash the filters. And then the headings are going to be customer name, which you've already got, the email. The next one just needs to be total spend.
Wait a second. All right. Sorry, I'm back again. What do we want to add at the top?
Nothing
customers.
Maybe you can just leave it the same, to be honest. I mean,
like this.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
So it's going to be customer name, which we've got, email, which we've got. The next column, instead of payment date, is going to be total spend. And that's basically the LTV of the customer. And then the next one is going to be saved card. And that will be the symbol of the card, which will be like a Visa, Amex card, etc. You know, like the icon, and then the last 4 digits.
Okay, I have it here, I think. This library is a lifesaver.
It's actually the same one I used when I was building my website, funny enough.
Yeah, entitled to the founder followed me on Twitter recently.
Really cool. It's owned by Reloom, I think, right?
I I don't know. The founder is called Jordan something. I forgot his last name, but it was Jordan. But I don't know. I used Reloom a lot as well back in the day when I was building with Webflow.
Yeah.
So it would be something like this, but then only with the. So it would be like, let me see, like this.
Correct. And then the next one will be, instead of team member, let's just call it created by. And I actually think for the main dashboard, we can rename that as well. Just
how?
Created by, just so that it's not confused. Yeah. Okay. And then the main thing that I wanted to do here is, if you just go to the Google Doc quickly, just so you can see like the visual side of it.
Yes.
Yeah, just scroll down. You see that image there? So that's an example of Google Drive. Can you see how there's like a panel on the right-hand side? I basically want to have a panel on the right-hand side, which will have text in it, which basically says something along the lines of, I think I actually wrote down. Basically, it says customers were last imported on this date, and there's a button underneath to import now. So basically what this does is it goes to Stripe and it pulls all of the details, including all of the, which allows you to charge customers if you've already saved their card. So for example, I sign up for Simple Payments now. I already have customers' credit cards saved, and I might want to send an invoice and automatically charge them, but I don't want to now have to send them one and ask them to enter the information again, and I can automatically charge them. So basically, this is just a thing that says your customers were last imported on this date, and you can press a button, and then it will re-import them and then add them to this list.
Oh, I think the Wi-Fi broke again for a quick second. Okay, can you repeat the last two sentences?
So this panel basically just has an image from a Stripe icon, and it says customers were last imported on this date, and the date would be bold, and then there'll be a button underneath it that says import now. When they press that, it loads and then it imports them and then updates the date. That's all we need to do.
Okay. From an UX standpoint, I would say that like an entire thing that pops up on your screen would not necessarily be very necessary, but because we removed the tabs here, what we can do and what I also see a lot is just here on the top corner have like a thing like the customers, like give them the information that they were last loaded at this date at this time, and then just have like one button that says or like a refresh button, let's say, and then it basically loads loads all of the customers, like it refreshes the page, it imports them, and then it shows the renewed date. So that would be like more simple and easy to navigate with UI UX wise. What do you think about that?
As long as it's just very clear what is happening, it's not refreshing customers, it's importing directly from Stripe. And there's also going to be a delay. So when they press the button, it needs to say importing ... or like the spinning.
Okay, let's see.
Not immediate.
So
that's why.
What would the copy say?
Your customers were last imported from Stripe on, and then it would be the date, which would just be like 12/04/2024, and the date would be bolded.
Yeah, and then for example, and also time.
Yes, time is good.
Let's say like this. Let's see. I'm just like checking now how it will look.
Because my initial design idea is that you have the Stripe logo, then you have this, and then there's a button underneath it that says re-import. And then when you press re-import, the Stripe icon is replaced with the spinning loading icon. And then when it's finished, the Stripe icon comes back and the date updates.
Okay.
That was in my mind. I don't know if there's another way. You could put me have a button on the right-hand side which says re-import. And then when they press that, the text on the button becomes a loading circle.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm curious about checking out this approach because it might be easier. But if it's not, we can create the page. Let me see if we have a button.
And the text would probably say something like import now.
Yeah, would you also need to select which customers you want to import, or
No,
does it just like
account?
Isn't it better to just call it like refresh client list or something like this, because it automatically syncs? So it's just like you refresh a page and
The
then
thing
wait
is,
for the new.
it doesn't automatically refresh. So basically, when they sign up for an account on the initial Stripe connection, it pulls all the customers in. But if I add customers to Stripe after that initial sign up, they won't show up in here.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking about just like saying refresh, and when you refresh, they get loaded inside of there.
Yeah, it can say refresh import now. That's fine.
Yeah, like refresh. Let's, and then we'll change this icon to like a refresh thing, and then we can do the loading state inside of this button. So then it like refreshes.
Perfect.
Like this.
And then that search bar, are you going to put the search in line with the text?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. So then we'll just do the
Great. I think that's like super nice UX, UI wise, like how the less screens you have, and that's like a pretty common way to use this.
Yeah, perfect. And then we can delete the actions column just because it's not needed for this.
Yeah.
And then you can copy the entire page, and let's work on the subscriptions one.
So this will be the subscriptions page.
Correct, yeah. So I have it in front of me. With this one, we are not going to have the button to refresh or the date in the top right, but we are going to have filters.
Okay.
Maybe it's easier to copy the top one. Like, yeah, there we go. Okay, and then the filters are going to be active and cancelled. Sorry, all active and cancelled. So all active and cancelled.
Wait.
Yeah, and then the pending can be removed. Okay, then the columns are going to be customer, which we've got, email, which we've got, subscription. So total spend is replaced with subscription. And this would be the name of whatever it is. So let's call it like, I don't know, let's call it Seeking Sigma. So this is the name of whatever they're buying, right? So the item. Yeah. Then there would be the amount, which is a new column.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just, and this would all be everything a month. So it'd be like $2.99 a month, $3.99 a year. So it would basically show both the amount and the interval. So maybe we change that amount to pricing. Let's change the column heading to pricing, because then we're doing both. Yep. So $2.99 a month, and then just $3.99 a year, just something like that. Yeah, that's fine. And then there'll be a new column which will basically say next billing date.
Next billing date. All right. Let me just copy this one from here.
Yeah, and then after the billing date, there would be the billing card, which we've got. There would be the created by, which we've got, and then there would just be a column for status. And then the two statuses here would be active and cancelled, obviously. And then the final column in this table will be essentially buttons, and the button will say cancel subscription.
All right. This one is getting crowded.
Yeah, I was thinking what we can do with that. We can maybe...
Let me think. So one thing we can do is do like a horizontal scroll. That's one option. Or we just... so if you want to view like all of the data like this, then I would suggest do a horizontal scroll. Or we can make this like a little bit shorter, but it wouldn't make it necessarily better. But then just like letting this text like fade out like this, if you see what I mean. Like for it to like, if you have the email, for it to just like cut off like this. I suggest we do a like a horizontal scroll, so then we just have like a longer list like this, and people can just like scroll to the right, because there's...
Well, what if we do a couple things for the saved card? What if you get rid of the stars and you just have the 4 digits?
Mm-hmm.
And then next billing date, let's just change that column header to just say billing date, so that it's not running away. Okay, then what if we remove the customer email? I don't know if we need to display that again. So we've got customer
That already looks great.
Status, and then all we need is we just need another column which basically just has a button, and that button needs to just be, it needs to be very similar to the refresh customers, I think, button design. Yeah, and this literally just needs to say cancel, cancel. And then if it's already canceled, like that first one, it needs to be grayed out, right? Because you can't cancel it if it's already canceled. And then if it's active, they can cancel it. And that's all that we need on this page.
Let's see. So, like this.
That is perfect. And then just the plus icon is...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it will hover. So,
okay. Right, so that is all that done. Okay, let's work on the logic then. So that is the next big one. So on the logic, the big change that I need to make is when you create a new payment, right in the beginning. So after they select their type, the next step after this currently is to enter a name and an email. I want to put a step in front of this, which basically has a search field where they can search for a customer that is already there, and they can search by name and by email, And then there's a button underneath it, which basically says add a new customer. And if they press that add a new customer, then what you have already designed would come up as a pop-up.
This would come up as a pop-up.
Yes, the way you have it in the logic, like where it's a pop-up within the pop-up.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically just when you create an invoice, you can search for your existing customers by name or email. You don't have to make a new one every single time. And then underneath that, there will basically be a toggle that they can turn on and off, which basically says charge automatically. So once I've selected a customer, we obviously have a card saved. So because we have a card saved, I turn on the ability to charge automatically.
Yep. That's all right. So then one search field. What time is it in the UK now?
It's 10 to 2 in the afternoon.
I think this would need to be some kind of drop down though.
I agree.
It would need to be a search and a drop down in one.
Correct. And then there'll need to be text, which basically says that you can search by name and or email.
All right, then just do
Okay. And then there would be a button somewhere here that says add a customer or something. So if one doesn't exist, they can add one.
All right. Actually, I had a nice thing designed somewhere here. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
This. Then I click on this. Then this comes up inside of pop-up. Right.
And maybe replace that icon with like the customer icon from the navbar that you made.
Yes.
Right. No. So I wanted to add a comment there. I think instead of add a customer, just say next. Because after this, it automatically takes them to the next step. It doesn't show them the screen, and the reason is because on the screen there's the toggle where you can.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if they are adding one, obviously they can't. Okay, so then on the page where you had the search function, we just need to add a toggle there, which basically says auto charge customer in auto charge card ending in the last 4 digits.
Yes. Okay, let me see. I don't recognize toggle in here. So here, right?
Yeah. And the text would say automatically charge customer. And then the subtext would be Visa card ending in blah, blah, blah will be automatically charged. Yeah. Okay, so then it works because then they search the customer, they select the customer, and then by default that thing is turned on. They can turn it off if they want. If they say add a customer, then the pop-up comes up, and then the button in the pop-up says next step, which basically takes them straight to the ability to add items. That way they can't have the toggle thing. So,
so then it will be
show all of that, with the arrows.
Yeah. Oh, I think I can add nicer arrows. Let me see. I saw someone use like nicer arrows the last time. I don't see them now. Daniel, do you know how to like add like these nice arrows in Figma? Like the same ones you have in FigJam, but then just like okay. Daniel, sometimes I mean I still have a lot of things to learn from Daniel. Yeah, so we use the arrows from Figma, from FigJam.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. It like snaps to everything and it keeps everything in place.
That's cool.
Oh. Kind of strips.
You might have to just increase the thickness on the left-hand side. So there's a property.
Wait. Okay, this is taking way too much time. I'm just going to use these arrows here.
Perfect.
So then you have the items.
Right. So then I'm just having a look at the stock. The next changes was right on the right-hand side in the preview. On top of Hello Alex, I want to add their workspace icon, because I realized when I was going through it that we asked them for their workspace icon and their accent color, but we don't actually use it anyway. Which
their workspace icon, then you mean like the logo that they've uploaded, right?
Yes. So basically their company logo. So instead, on top of Hello Alex, we're going to. So basically, if you go to the checkout page, you did it on the checkout page, but not in the preview. So if you go to the checkout page, you'll be able to copy.
Okay. Where did I put that? Here.
Yes, you had it there at the top. Yeah. So basically, if you copy that icon and you just put it on top of where it says Hello Alex.
Yeah. Like this.
Like that, yeah. And then just fix the spacing. So workspace icon, and then in the checkout page, and then basically the button where it says checkout with blank studio. And then the payments and the memos, I want to change to their accent color. So
this changed to their accent color. Okay. So like everything that's orange here needs to be in their color.
So the button that says checkout with blank studio, payments, memos, and then the background needs to be their accent color. So if you just pick like a random color, like just say like blue.
I would just make it like
this. A nice, and then the background would obviously be the same color, but just with an opacity.
Yep.
And then the icons where it says full transparency and secure payment, I want to leave that orange because that's our brand.
Because that's branding. All right, that looks nice.
That is that. All right, so let's just go through this flow. So on the left-hand side, they add the items. Then let's just fix the arrows from there to...
Yeah, I'll just put it after each other. I think that's just more easy to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Then
you don't have to do that. I can, because I'm going to go and update the copywriting.
All right.
Just to save time, you can update all the colors. Okay, and then on the checkout page, the next icon, the next change that I wanted to make, if you just zoom in, is I want to move where it has the card number, the checkout button, and the stripe icons. I want to move it on the left. So if you just go look at the document quickly, I did like an illustration. It'll just be like super easy. Go down. So the reason why I want to just put it on the left is because if someone has long descriptions of their items, it's going to be like this long thing on the right-hand side and this empty space on the left. So I think it makes sense on the left-hand side to have full transparency, card number, checkout, and on the right-hand side we just have the
all clear. Let me see. Like this. 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 Maybe we can remove some of those because it's a lot.
Okay, maybe that last one because I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's like a Dutch one.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think that looks much better. It looks weird now because the description isn't a description, but I think if people put like proper descriptions in, it will look a lot better. Otherwise, it's going to be super long and confusing.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. All right, so there was that. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes. The customer search, we've got customer name and email and currency. We've got checkbox for auto charge. We've got add items for the single payment is unlimited. Okay, then just zoom into the screens for the single payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just let's go through it. So that's fine. Next one. That's fine. Next, that's fine. Oh, wait, go back. I want to just have the consistency with the design. So all of the buttons that say next step have an arrow. This one doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, next screen. Okay, then what I wanted to do here is instead of saying next step, the button needs to say finalize payment, because isn't a next step, right? If they press that, it's going to send it, right? Obviously, if they add items, that's fine. So
yeah,
this is going to, so that needs to say finalize payment. And then I want to just add a piece of text underneath the button, which basically says a payment link will be generated and sent for this payment, or it will say we'll automatically charge the card ending in blah, 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 and send the customer a confirmation email. So I put the text in the Google Doc. You can just copy and paste it.
A second. No.
Yeah, so in the inverted commas, there's two texts, and it will basically say that, or it will say the other one, depending on if they have the column switched.
Right.
And then also, I think on this button, instead of an arrow for the finalized payment, we have like a check mark or a credit card, maybe, just so that it's super clear that if you press that, it's going to either send it or it's going to charge the card.
Okay. Okay. Well, once again, I was finalizing something I didn't hear.
For the finalized payment, instead of an arrow icon, I think the credit card.
An icon of a credit card, or
an icon, yeah.
I'll just copy this one over this entire block, because we will need it here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll make it 1% capacity. And then here, by the way, I'll just add the other text. So we just have them both in the design.
Yeah, and then the developer can just figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Okay.
Looks nice.
All right, so just go through all the screens. So the next one.
So then we'll add the item.
Yeah, that's fine. Finalize payment, that's fine. That's fine. This is fine, and that is the end of the single payment, right? Cool.
Yeah.
To subscription. So the first thing for the subscription that we need to update is the ability to search for a customer and then turn on the automatic charge thing. So you'll have to just copy and paste.
All right. Once again, what needed to be changed?
The ability to search for a customer and then select them. So you did the design previously.
Yeah. So basically, copy the designs from here. Basically.
Yeah.
I get it now. So we have then he knows which one to select. Then that's the reoccurring, and then they add the customer is the same page.
Correct, and then it's the pop-up if you want to add a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then after that, it takes you to the page where you can add, where there's only the option to add an item. Yeah. And then if you just zoom in there, let me just have a look. All right, so it's now just the button thingy again. So instead of confirm, it's going to say finalize payment. And then it's got that text at the bottom as well with the credit card icon, just so that we have consistency across the designs.
Of course. Oh, that looks weird. Yep.
Okay, and then just zoom in. I just want to see the logic on the right-hand side. It will have I'm thinking that we swap the payments and the memos around, because on the other page, we have the credit card on the left-hand side. So just consistency, we always have the payment like that.
Let's also do it on this one then.
Correct, yes. Because then the checkout page actually mirrors the preview. And then you have just consistency across everything.
But on the preview, is it on the right side?
No, so the credit card is on the left and then the memos on the right.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So then you will know once we'll switch those around, and that would be clear.
Yeah. Okay. After that, then it goes to the page where they can share the link. Okay, and then it goes to the checkout page.
Then I will just copy this one, but then we'll need to adjust it a little bit based on this one. So then here it says this. And there's this and this. Like this.
Right. Yeah. Cool. So that is everything then for subscription. So then we can move on to logic.
The main one. All right. Logic.
Okay, so the first thing is, again, just the ability to search for a customer and auto charge, stuff like that.
I'll just quickly get all of the
Yeah.
pages within here to just have like a clear thing that we can work on.
Yeah.
All right. So then we'll start with the payment again. Then we'll have the customer as well. That stays the same. And then this also the same. And then, yeah, we'll have this, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it would be the customer search, and then it would be the initial item.
Yeah. So this charge client for
Payment. Correct. Yeah. And then that will then bring the pop-up for the item. Okay. yeah, the description that blah, blah, blah. Example, if next step is 3 days, then wait until 3 days has passed. Okay, after that, there is the ability to add more logic.
Yep. Let me see. So
then changes.
So in the design, you can basically see it. Oh, then you can basically see it as. So you create the payment, you click on confirm, and then you click on the plus sign, and then when you click on the plus sign, we have these things. So then you can add item, add like.
So this is where I wanted to jump in. So let's do the pop first, where they can select which item there is.
Okay.
Because I changed the order and I moved some things around here. So the first one, if we zoom in, is charge amount, okay, which is fine. The next one, I want to say start subscription. In fact, just to make this easier for you, you can leave that and just move the end payment up, because the next one after this is going to be delay.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is going to be start subscription now. And then it would be delay, and then it would be when date arrives.
Start subscription now, or
yes,
subscription?
It would be start subscription now. So it's just the icon that would have to change. And then I suggest that we use the same icon that we used in the subscriptions in the nav bar.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what I wanted to do now is I wanted to now show arrows from this pop-up pointing to the screens that would come up if they select which option.
And this is correct at delay and date?
That is all fine.
Okay.
So now I just want to show, depending on which option they select, which things would come up.
Okay.
So now you would have a column of options.
Yeah.
Because it's very important that if they say start subscription, they cannot add more logic afterwards. Otherwise, it just gets too complicated. So I want to show that in the designs.
Right. So this, and then I will show this one, and then this one, this one.
So something is missing. So what is the top one?
Yeah. At item, which is this one.
Okay. And then I think it's the subscription one that you have missing.
Yes.
And the subscription you can copy from the subscription one because it's the same pop-up. It's just going to be a pop-up instead of a screen.
Which one?
So on the subscription flow, you had the
this one.
No. In the create subscription flow.
Here. Sorry.
Yeah. So that thingy there, it just needs to come up as a pop-up, basically.
Okay.
And then instead of add item, it would say subscription.
Right. So then instead of add item, it will be add subscription.
Correct.
I always don't know how to spell subscription. Right, the subscription. So like this. This is the product description, waiting period, and this is waiting period 2 times.
It's supposed to be yeah, so this, I noticed it disappeared from your original design. Remember your original design had a calendar pop-up thing?
Right here.
Yeah. And then the key thing just here that I noticed was missing is it needs to gray out days which have already passed.
Yeah. So let's say it's the 25th. It's today the 26th. So then we'll just gray out these.
Isn't this selector showing that 29 is today?
I think it's the day that you have selected.
The date that you've selected.
Or actually, the dot underneath it is the day that's it currently, and the other thing is which one is selected. Let me see. So then it will be just blurred out like this.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do it in an easy way. Yep, this works.
Perfect.
Waiting periods. All right, and then now just the arrows.
The arrows, and then the key thing here is after this, you need to have the screen repeated where it basically shows the logic, right? And what I just want to show there is if they've added a subscription, they cannot add more logic underneath.
All right. Wait. I just need to connect these arrows. Why are those arrows not showing? Come on. All right. That's arrow number 1. This is the waiting period. This is the subscription. And this is the God. Right. Sorry. The next step.
Right. So now if we just go back to the logic that you had.
This one.
Yes, and just zoom in. So finalize payment again needs to just have the credit card icon, just listen to the design. And it also needs to have the text at the bottom that says we'll automatically charge or we won't automatically charge. Okay. And then what I wanted to add now is I wanted to add a box underneath this. So at the bottom of the design, a box with a circle in it that has a question mark, with text, which basically says need help, question mark, watch a quick tutorial on how a logic builder works. And if you press that, it will bring up a Loom video of me explaining how this works, because basically like a built-in tutorial, because it is a bit confusing if you don't know what you're doing. So basically, I would just want to add a box, and it can be snugged at the bottom of the screen, maybe.
What happened here? This is a little small.
And then the icon would be a question mark, and then the text I put in the Google Doc. You can just copy and paste.
Perfect.
It won't have any subtext, so you can.
Okay. Would you do like a pop-up, or would you just have like a video show here?
I think it makes sense to do it as a pop-up because after you've used it once, you don't need to see the video over and over.
Oh. I'll just upload the video from here because they had a nice.
Yeah. You can copy it from, I think you used a video in the Zapier setup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then that button obviously needs to be a lot smaller because it's basically just going to be a small toolbox thing that says need help. Yeah. So you can copy the text from the Google Doc, but the video is not going to be in there, right? So basically when you press it, then the video will come up full screen.
Yeah, exactly. Like this basically, but then as a pop-up, no?
Correct, yeah. Yeah, and then we'd have to probably add a cancel to the top right or somewhere. Or you can maybe just put a button underneath it which says close, because then you can copy it from the actual pop-ups.
I think we could do something like this and just make it very. That's not very visible. Let's color this. Yeah.
No, so what I was saying is if you go to the other pop-ups, like with the add-on item, anything.
Wait, this one?
Yes, and you see that cancel button? If you just copy that
just
and change the text to close and then make the width the same as the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that text would just say close.
Close. Let's center this. And then change this around to.
Do you think we should put the entire video in a pop-up? I think it will look better. So basically we're gonna, if you just go back to the add an item. Yeah, so basically it will be a pop-up like this, except there won't be an X in the top right. And there won't be any text. It will just be the video and then it will be the button underneath it.
So like the video with like a pop-up behind it, actually.
Correct, yeah. So if you copy that pop-up and then remove all the text and the X button, just put the video in there and then the button full screen. Full width, sorry. And then obviously the entire pop-up will need to be wider. And then just a bit of spacing between the edges of the pop-up and the video. Yeah. And then the heading that says add an item can all be removed. The X button can be removed.
And this will be just close.
And then even the heading can be removed.
This?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that looks better.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, then we just need to go back where you had full transparency and just change the text and the icon, and then I think, and yeah. Go down there, that help box, yeah. The entire thing.
Okay.
So need help and all the way to the end of the inverted commas, yeah. And then we just change the icon to a help thing. One of the things that I was actually going to do is if you go to the navigation bar, so you don't need to do that. If you go to the navigation bar,
okay, yep,
yeah, and you go down, that support icon. So you can copy that support icon, and then you can actually remove the support from the navigation bar, because I realize that we have intercom visible all the time, so we don't need to do that.
It is true.
It's true. So use that icon, and then it's quite clean. And then I assume just center the icon in the text.
To make it as big as the text.
I don't think you need to make it as big as the text, just center it, maybe.
I think we'll need to make it as big as the thing or center it in the top. That would look nicer. Like to have something more. Like we can make it maybe something like this and then center it, because then it looks bigger. And then make it orange. And then make this bigger.
What if we just make the entire help bar wider so that the text is on one line?
It wouldn't necessarily fit within those boxes here. Let's see.
Because maybe it's better that it's longer because it's not part of the actual thing. And then I think the icon we can just make light gray instead of orange, because we're not trying to really call attention to it. And the text.
And then we need a button.
Does the text need to be bold?
It's medium. Yeah, we can make it like this. Okay, but then we'll need to add a button to this. Or do you want to make this clickable?
What if we make the arrow, so we get rid of that customer support icon and put an arrow on the right-hand side of it? You know, like how you had with the next steps, the same arrow. That way it's a button.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work. Let me just grab an arrow from here.
And then, yeah, that arrow would be on the right-hand side instead of on the left, like a button. Something like that. Yeah, I think that looks good.
Yep, I like it. Yeah, click on this and then nice.
Cool. Then I just want to work on the preview for this.
Okay.
So with this, because this is logic, I think we need to make the preview slightly different, because we need to communicate what is happening. Like this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, right? So I think the way to do that would be by the payment terms. Instead of having what you have there, you could basically copy the logic.
Like this?
Yes. So,
but do we want to show the client like charge client a payment, but then we will need to change the copy to like you?
Yes, we would need to change the copy, but the design can be the same.
But here we only say payment. We don't like specify what the payment is. So I guess we wouldn't show to the user like
no.
yeah.
So instead of payment terms, it would say payment logic, right? And then it would say, today you will be charged for the item name, right? Then wait 2 days, you will be charged for this item name. So we would show the item names. The reason why we do that is because you have the memos. So the item names correspond to the descriptions.
That's good. That's nice. So today you'll be charged
for you'll be charged for item name. And the item name you can put in orange.
But then it will be like the name of the product, no?
Correct, yes. And let's not make it orange while we're on it. Let's make it that same purple, because we're using the accent color. So if you find the same purple that you used.
Right. Yeah. Right, I will just make this like this. Like this.
And then just remember we're swapping around the memos and the payments.
Yep.
Okay, today you will be charged for that. And then after that, it would be just on the left-hand side, just copy the logic.
Just like in the same way that we do it, like under each other, you mean?
Yeah. So today you will be charged for that. And then on the left-hand side, I think it said wait for 2 months. Yeah. And then underneath that, it's going to say you will be charged for another product. So you get rid of the today, and you would just say you will be charged. You will be charged for, the second product. And then let's add, and then let's add one more, then wait for 1 month as an example. And then add one more. And then I want to make this last one a subscription. So this subscription would say you will be charged for blah, blah, blah every month.
You rename the product blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's fine. Blah, blah. And let's change it not every month. Let's say every 3 weeks, just so that it's, and then we'd change.
Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, doesn't matter. And then we would obviously make that in the color. And also the product name. So the product name and the every 2 weeks. Correct. And then just on the payment side, we just need to update that. So it would be a website production for a certain amount, a social media package you had there for a certain amount on top.
Which one?
So yeah, you can just duplicate website production, just the top line that you had there, just duplicate that. And then just change the top one to social media package, because that's what we have. Yeah, and then you have to just add an extra memo as well. Yeah, the text doesn't really matter. Okay, so zoom out. I think that is very clear, right? Based on the payment logic. Okay, so just go to the right. There were a few screens that you didn't copy over. I think one of them is the share.
It's just the share link and the checkout page.
So the share link you can copy because that's fine. It's just the checkout page we're going to have to do some work on to reflect the changes that we just made in the preview. So you'll have to just copy the changes that we just did on the preview. And then we have got literally one more page to go, and we're done.
Great. Let's see. Then, first of all, we need to restructure it like here.
And then by the payment terms, we would change that to payment logic, and then we would have our logic there.
Mm-hmm. Then the memos, there will be another one, and then this will be the logic. Wait, that's not good.
Perfect. All right, let's. That is all good. Let's get on with the pages then. Okay, so if you go back up to the subscription pages.
Let me see. Which one? The subscription pages? This one.
We need to make one more page now, and that's the logic. Okay. And so basically what this is doing here is, first of all, it's going to show a list. So the list here, the filters are going to be all, completed, running, and then aborted. Okay, the column headers are going to be the name which we've got, the email.
Wait, how do you write aborted?
ABORTED.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, then the headers are going to be name, which we've got, email instead of subscription. So you can just fetch that from the previous ones. Yeah, the pricing you can get rid of. Billing date you can get rid of. It's going to be card, created by, and then it's going to be the status. And obviously the status would be either completed, running, or aborted. So aborted would be in place of cancelled.
This would be
maybe let's make it cancelled. Let's make it cancelled because I think it's just easier. Yeah.
Oh, this one will be cancelled.
Yes. And then there would be running, which would be maybe like a yellow one. And then I wanted your opinion on this. So the next thing that needs to happen is basically if something is running, they can cancel it, right? But you want to be able to click on it and bring up a pop-up, which will show you the logic and show you how far they are in it. So basically what I want is if you click on one of these things, it brings up a pop-up, which you can literally go to the payment logic. And remember that one where we designed wait for whatever?
Yeah.
So if you copy that pop-up that came up when you were showing wait for 2 months, wait for 3 months, etc. What I want to do is I just want to have a pop-up which shows all of that. And then on the right-hand side, there would either be a check mark if it's already happened or an hourglass if it's still happening. So basically, this is showing a list of automations or logics. And if you click on it, you can see how far it is in the logic. Certain things have been finished. Some things are still waiting to happen. So you can basically see how far you are in it. And then and then you can cancel it. So that button that says cancel would basically say see more instead. And then it would bring up a full screen pop-up. So not a pop-up like that. It would bring up a full screen pop-up.
What do you mean with a full like this?
Yes, like that.
All right. Okay, wait. Now just take this one.
Maybe put it on the right of subscriptions so that, yeah. Okay, so then that button underneath actions would, instead of say cancel, would say see more, which would bring up this pop-up. Okay, then on this pop-up, there would be, if you go to the full screen pop-up of the payment logic.
So it would be this.
Not on the left-hand side. On the left-hand side.
This.
Yes, that. So we're going to copy that.
Oh, wait, I will copy it together with everything.
Yeah, copy it with all the text and with everything. And also the need help, all that stuff can come with it.
You sure? You need help as well?
I think so. I mean, okay, and then instead of the plus icon and the trash can icon, it would be either a green check mark in a circle if it's already executed, or would be a hourglass in a yellow badge, which basically means that it's still waiting to happen.
All right. Wait. So wouldn't this need to be the name of the package?
Correct. Yes.
So then we just shall.
And then I would put in brackets just the amount. Because I don't want them to be able to click on it and then, we have more pop-ups going on. So it's way easier just to put it in brackets. And then maybe, remove the underline. That way they know it's not clickable, yeah. Okay, that's fine. And then just the charge client would have to be replaced. So where it says charge client payment, that would have to just be another product with a different amount.
Wait, sorry. Oh, this. Yeah.
And then the 2 months would be also not underlined. Okay. And then on the right-hand side, it's always going to be icons underneath each other, except there would either be a check mark in a green badge, or there would be a hourglass in a running badge, and then it would say completed, or it would say still waiting. So what you can do is you can copy the status labels. Yeah, and then we're basically just adding an icon. We're either showing a check mark for completed or an hourglass. And then
completed, and then this one will be then running, right?
correct.
So that would mean that we're in the waiting period now.
Correct. And then we would just change that text. Instead of saying then wait for 2 months, it would say then wait for 2 months until a date. Because now it would obviously
calculate. Just put it in between brackets as well?
Yeah, perfect. Or you don't even need to put that until then. You can just put the date, actually. That's a good idea.
Where?
So just put the date, 21 April 2024.
In brackets or instead of?
Yeah, in brackets. Yeah.
And then add an icon to these.
Yeah, an icon with an hourglass or a check mark. So check mark for completed, hourglass for running, and then the text for running can just be still waiting.
Completed. Check.
And then obviously the third one would be running as well. But the running would, the text would change to still waiting. And the running would also be still waiting. Okay. Then the finalized payment and the previous step can be removed. Okay, and then I want a button here. Oh, that the help thing, has the help thing disappeared? The help thing, yeah, needs to come back. And then I want to have a button here. I'm thinking on the right-hand side, a big red button basically says cancel this logic, which would basically stop it.
All right. Let me just grab a button. I mean, we would have two buttons as well, because we need to cancel, like exit the page, right?
No, because this would be a pop-up, so the plus is in the top right.
True. So we do like cancel subscription.
No, logic.
Logic, yeah.
And then make the button full width, and I think it needs to be a big red button, like a warning. And maybe if we can have a warning, you know, like a exclamation mark in a triangle icon. Just type in warning, probably. Yeah, that one.
Nice.
Okay, I'm just looking at this list. We're basically there. There is one more. If you just go to the dashboard now, duplicate the dashboard.
On top?
Yes, on top. Okay, so this is the global dashboard, which basically shows so we can remove the table and remove the plus. Okay, and then what I want
this as well, right? You wanted to remove.
Yeah. Then on the left-hand side, what I wanted to do here is I wanted to have the logo, which says simplepayments.io in the middle. And then I wanted to have, you did it on the, remember that page that you had somewhere where it said like waiting list is now open? Yes. I basically want to copy this and I want to put it inside that banner instead of the navigation stuff.
see how we can make this fit nicely.
So all of the navigation things can be removed because remember they're not logged in now. Yeah, so then we would remove the blank studio as well. And then the powered by simple payments would be removed. Yes, and then the hello Courtne, the text there would change to stats as of 21 April at blah, blah, blah. So it would also show the time, so the date and the time.
Avoid this.
Yeah. And then the simple payments and so basically that, does it not make more sense to put it in the middle of the nav bar or the sidebar? And obviously the logo would go with it though, would it not?
Ah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Do you like that, or do you think that the logo?
I think we should change the colors around a little bit.
But do you think do you think maybe the logo should be on top of the word stats? So it would be the logo and then it would be stats. So the logo wouldn't be in the sidebar. Do you think it would maybe look?
Then I suggest we do the logo up here. Wait a second. Why doesn't this work? Then it would have the logo. Here.
And then we make the logo the same size or bigger than the text. And then remove it from the sidebar.
Yep, and then what I wanted to say, then maybe we could remove this background behind here and make the sidebar this color.
Well, actually, we've literally done everything on the dock. There's no more changes. The only other change that I've got sitting in the dock is the background colors or the colors throughout the entire app. Because remember, we're using white, and then we wanted to use that. So while we're doing that, we might as well look at what color we're going to make this sidebar.
Okay.
So that's all the changes. The changes now is just to make. Remember, I gave you that brand color. And you were telling me you don't like it. You prefer white. So let's have a conversation. Why do you prefer white?
The thing is, I wanted to stick with white because it would be like a more contrast feeling, and it felt more minimal in my opinion, like more clean. But when using like not the white color itself, but use like a orangish tint of the white color, in my eyes it looked like a little bit too messy. I guess that's the word that I was
so this page that you're looking at now with the side up, that is not the color. This is not white. This is that off-white color.
Yeah, this is the off-white color.
You don't like it?
I prefer like more contrasty look like.
Are you able to duplicate it, and then we can see the white and the contrast color next to each other?
Yep. All right. So then like the thing is with like with this is that when we change the background color slightly, like so, this is like the tinted color, and this is like white and white. For me, this looks good, but this gives me more contrast and gives me like a more clean look. It gives me the feeling that this feels a little bit more dirty, let's say, than this clean look. That's like my way of looking at this. I'm curious what Daniel thinks. Actually,
yeah, I prefer the top one. I vote for the top one.
Oh, Daniel is in a call. I can't. What do you think?
I vote for the top one. I get what you're saying
Yeah.
with the contrast, but I just think from a brand perspective, you know, it's when you're in the app, you'll know that you're in there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I get it as well. I understand it as well. The only thing that we would need to do, like, to change the, like, it may sound, we can do it, of course, but it may sound easy to just change this to a little orange tint, but when doing this, it means that we would need to change the color of basically everything that's on every page slightly in order for it to fit, because we can't put a like a grayscale gray color on top of a tinted orange color, because then it would just look off. So then we will need to make like every text and every border and every single thing on this page wouldn't need to be like on the grayscale, but it also would need to have a slightly orange twist in order to fit on this page. I mean, it's something that we could do, but it will take a lot of time. Like, let's say 3-4 hours of just manual work changing up the colors.
Got it. So
here, basically I'm showing Daniel. So this is like, this is what the product. This is what the product is now. It's like white on white with like all of grayish tints. And what like we could do now is make it like not white, but like give it an orange tint.
That's basically
would make it look like this. Wait, let me.
Which would make it look like this. Yeah. But then what I was saying is we can't just like change the background color. We will need to change all of the strokes, all of the text, all of the buttons in order to just fit.
I mean, it would make way more sense, especially considering how far we are in design, is to make sure that the developer structures the styling components accordingly, so that you can easily just play around and change this by just giving him one mock-up. Because for Wojtek to,
so my feedback there is I don't think we need to change all the colors. Like if I look at the top sign-up page, which we didn't change anything except the background color, I think it looks nice.
I agree.
Because it's not an orange tint, it's a white tint that I stole from Zapier. So if we just change the background of everything to that, I don't think we need to change any other colors. The only thing that we will need to change, and that's why I brought it up now, Wojtek, is just the color of the navigation bar that you wanted to make like an orange tint thing anyways.
Yeah, okay, but then this also changes, right? Or this would also need to change because you can't, and you would also gray. Yeah, this I changed now, you see? Yeah. But we can't put like a gray color on top of this.
Well, then just give this as a reference to because I see how this would cost.
Like here I changed it as well.
Yeah, it's look nice. I agree, it looks much nicer. And here you haven't yet.
Yeah, here it looks awesome. Yeah. You see?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. And this is coming together very nice, eh?
It's done. This is the last thing. There's nothing else on the dock. This is the last
thing. It's solid, bro. Good job, man.
Okay, you, bro. We built it together with a lot of great feedback from Courtne. Very nice.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Bro, it looks fucking banging, man. It's sexy. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I agree with the coloring. I just think it will cost Wojtek quite some time to redo all of the components. So what I suggest we can do, Courtne, is that we take a bunch of separate components, because the fundament of, for example, these cards and these cards are the exact same. So if you just buy the color code and the actual border thickness and the colors, then it's easy to hand this over to development and have them apply this style across the board.
So what I've done is, as you can see on the right side, I've worked with like color libraries. So for each color, every stroke, it's like easy to change, and that's how the developer also works, because I saw how Ruben does this by creating some emails in like React or something. You basically have like a set amount of colors, and then when you're building the platform and you need to specify the border color, then you just like how do you say that? You just like navigate, or you say like use this color which you have saved before, so then it will be like easy to change.
Awesome. That's fine. I'm happy with that. So let's just do the dashboard, the public one, with that color as the background, and then I'll give the rest to the developer. I get what you're saying with the swatch colors. So if we make that color the background for the dashboard, and then we just need to figure out a color for that sidebar. And then I'm not happy with the way that their logo looks. I think we can do better. It just looks
like this.
Yeah. I don't know, it just looks weird to me. Either we put it somewhere else, or we maybe center it, or maybe we put it back on the left-hand side on top of that badge, but it just looks weird to me. I don't know how you feel about it. Or what if we make the navigation, you know, that orange line that we have, just for this page, what if we make it bigger, and then we put the logo in the middle of it?
Oh, then it would look two nav bars. Maybe what we can do is like.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then it would like give the idea of having two nav bars.
Because I'm just thinking that this page is not like, it's basically just a marketing page. So if we have the bright orange and the white logo in it, it looks fancy.
Let's see.
Yeah, that looks better to me. I like it. And then the nav bar on the left, if we make it like an orange color and get rid of that orange color around it.
Which one?
Yeah, so instead of having that as a gray, we would make it like so basically like a light, yeah, something like that. So that we don't have that as a bubble anymore.
Oh, okay. So the same color, no?
Yes. Yep, I like it. So happy with that now. It's just the logo. I still don't like where the logo is. It looks weird.
It's too big now.
Can we try it in the orange bar? I just want to see it.
Yes.
And then if you hate it, tell me you hate it. Maybe a little bit less tall. Yeah. And then if we center the logo in the middle of it.
But then we can't really show the icon if it's orange. If it's orange,
we make it white though, because we have a white version in the branding. You already built it.
Yeah, I can also just change those around.
And then we put that right in the center of the page.
What happened to this? Yeah.
I think this looks way better.
Yeah, I like it. And then remove the logo here.
Yeah. And then maybe we just make the orange bar a little bit taller so there's a bit more spacings. Yeah, there we go. I like it. Way better. That looks like a good marketing screenshot. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I think it's a very nice idea actually to have a dashboard like a public page. It's a very nice idea for the marketing aspect. I think more brands should incorporate something like this.
Yeah, imagine if Tally had one where it was number of forms, number of responses, and you can really you can make it quite cool.